Okay, good now of Shabbos, everybody. Parshas VaYeirah has a lot of things in it. It's a pretty long Seder, and a lot of points in it. So let's start off the beginning. The beginning starts off that Avraham Avinu, who is the Abba Chesed, is going through the I guess in a way proving to us that he's the Abba Chesed, in the sense that he had just had his Milah, and even so he was out trying to do Chesed. And he's doing this, and the Benishim has Rachmanis on him. I think one of the reasons babies now in the new days, they usually by the second day they're pretty good. They don't have any problems. And yet it says the third day is the hardest day. I would assume maybe it's by adults. And Avram was an adult, so therefore he had this definite day. He couldn't walk. He couldn't. What do you call it? He had definitely the big problem. And yet he's able to overcome this and try to look to do chesed. The Beishum wanted to protect him, so he made a very hot day, no travelers, and therefore there was no chesed. So he's a little bit depressed. The Beishum brings him 3 malachim in order to appease him that he should have someone to do chesed with him. Okay, so let's see what happens here. He says, Yukach nomat mayim v'achot raglechem. So the first thing he says to them, wash your feet. Now, why? Because the travelers at that time, the dirt of their feet, they used to have as an Avodah Zorah. In other words, what was Avodah Zorah in a lot of times? What represented it was the difficulties that people went through. And since the traveler always has the dirt of the road on himself, so that was his Avodah Zorah. In other words, that this is what gives him the power, the strength, or whatever it is to keep going. Okay, so therefore, he told him to wash it off but he couldn't do it. Now, why couldn't he do it? I assume because he was too tired, he was too weak. Okay, so he had someone bring it. Couldn't be an Eved, because all the Avodah were also the same idea. They were the third day of their Milah, so they weren't doing anything either. So you had to probably get a shifcha to do it. Okay, fine. She brought them water. They washed. Rashi brings down that all the things that the Rebbeinu Shalom did, that Avram did in person, the Rebbeinu Shalom did back to Klal Yisrael personally. That was the mun the Rebbeinu Shalom gave. On the other hand, the water that he did, Yukach nomat mayim, that was done through a third person, therefore it was also done through a shliach, through Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu messed up. Okay? Is that the point that the Torah is trying to tell us? That in other words, it was a chesochen that Moshe Rabbeinu gave the water, or that Avraham Avinu did what he did. So we have to understand why then. If this was water for drinking, Avraham Avinu, just like the food, he sees Yenim Sar, he sees somebody else suffering. His suffering doesn't count in that case. So he's able to overcome his suffering. So that's for food, for a drink maybe. But to wash the feet, the other guy doesn't want to wash his feet. So I don't see any aggravation on his part. I want him to wash his feet because I don't want to visit in his house. I don't have anything to overcome myself. So what's the complaint against him in the first place? Secondly, we're talking about a shliach that the Rebbeinu Shalom himself uses to give us the Torah. So obviously he's a pretty good shliach. So then what's the problem with the water? It's also shliach. I think what the Torah is trying to tell us, or Rashi is trying to tell us, it doesn't mean it's a punishment or something for Kali. He didn't do enough and therefore he gives him less. No, he's just trying to tell you that a shliach has his own opinions, his own das. You can, even though shliach shalom k'maisai, we got the din that I made a shliach, it's as if I did it. But the idea is he does it with his understanding, not with my understanding. I can give him all the directions I want, but all of it is meaningless if he has a mind something else. And therefore, that's what you have to know about a shliach. That's all he's telling you. So therefore, when the water, when he gave it to a shliach, what happened was Moshe hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock. Why did he do that? Because he had his own opinion of what's taking place, and therefore he hit the rock. And that's what he's warning you about, that there's a point that if you make a shliach, you have to be ready for the consequences of a shliach not doing exactly what you want. Okay, now this member of Avram Avinu is trying to do chesed all day long. He finally gets these three guys, and he says to Vekir Paslecha v'sadch lipchem, you'll eat something and go weiter. And they'll say, fine, go do it. What does he do? He goes to his wife, and he says, VaYeirah mahari shleish siyim kelmech shlushim v'aseh guys. Go make bread now. You're trying to do chesed a whole morning and you don't even have any bread in the house to give anybody? What kind of chesed is that? Okay. So I think we have to think about is, first of all, why are we calling it chesed? That's stuck. Someone needs a meal. By giving him a meal, that's stuck. That's what he needs. Chesed is doing somebody a favor, making him feel good, something of that sort. It doesn't, they don't see chesed here. Right? So I'd like to describe something, and let me make this question even harder. What does he do after he tells that? Well, he then runs over to get the oxen, right? So he gave it over to Yishmael. He said, that's the nar. And it's important to realize that all the avodim we said was Gimel Milosim. It's also Yishmael's Gimel Milosai. And Yishmael's out there working with Avram. So Avram, that this midah of what they call chesed by them, or taking in strangers, or whatever it is, achnas is something that's felt by them, and is something, a big thing. It comes from Avram Avinu. Okay, so he's going to make this the meat. Now let's understand how long would it take to make meat. By the way, I was once under the impression that it took long to skin an animal. It doesn't take long to skin an animal. If a person knows how to do it, it's probably a minute or two. It's skinning an animal. They actually can peel off the whole skin comes off with the whole leather, whatever it is, the pelt, whatever you want to call it, the pelt. That comes off. But Avram Avinu was mekayim all the minimum of Torah. That means he has the treber, he has the kasher, he has the vake, he has to butcher it in order to get the proper pieces that you're going to cut, right, and stuff like that. To do that to an animal, I would assume one person, and he's talking about three animals, a good 10 hours, I would say. Besides, you have to cook it yet, and the cooking didn't go on the automatic ovens and stuff like that. You did that, and you had to do it in each individual piece. So if you would have told me the reason he gave them tongues was because he wanted speed, maybe I can understand that. Now, you shecht it takes a minute. As soon as you shecht it, you pull out the tongue, you chop it off, You pull out, there's one thing you have to pull out of the tongue, and that's it. Then you put it on a grill, and you make it. So I understand that would have been a good thing. So he needed 3 of them because he wanted to give him food right away. It doesn't say that. It says he was most choshev part is the tongue. So that means I gave them a choice of what they wanted to eat. I gave them the tongue, which most choshev. Now I know a lot of people that won't eat tongue, especially kids. They imagine the tongue licking the ground, and they go, "Yuck, I'm not going to eat any tongue." So therefore, they'll ask for rib steak. Okay, so you want lipstick? So lipstick, I got to go. The whole animal, I have to cut it. And everything. So you're talking about 9-10 hours. 9-10 hours of time is not going to help a guy who's hungry now. That doesn't mean anything. So what kind of chesed is that? And what kind even? It's not even stock. It's nothing. What is he going for the meat for? What's he need it for? This is the way I understand. I'll give you 2 scenarios in a way. Okay, one is a guy has a chavrusa, he moved to Eretz Yisrael, got married, has family there. He hasn't seen him in 10 years. And one morning he's in shul. So I'll give you Sunday morning. His wife is home. It's an off Shabbos, so the kid is home. Okay, so he sees his friend is there. He says, goes over to him. You know, you're here, I haven't seen you in 10 years, you gotta come up and eat breakfast and stuff. No, don't worry, I'll get a Danish and coffee in a pizza shop. No, you gotta come up to me, I gotta have you, we gotta just say hello, gotta bring a few minutes, something. Okay, and he goes up to his house. He comes into his house there, he wakes up his wife, he says, you know, my friend, I haven't seen him in 10 years, she's not working today, so he says, please go up and make him something special. Get him your special latkes you make. Okay, fine. And then he wakes up, the kid is going to the 8:30 minyan, and he's in the 6 o'clock minyan, and he tells the kid, you know, take money, you go down, you go into when the appetizing store opens up, you get every kind of fish you can get, all kinds of bagels, a few danishes, and different things, and you come up there, we'll do it. Meanwhile, till we're waiting for all this, he knows how to do. He knows how to make a fine kochen. He learned that in yeshiva, so he makes some what do you call scrambled eggs for the guy. Meanwhile, to keep him while the kids, and meanwhile he keeps. Then they bring him the whole breakfast, even though he only wanted was a Danish and coffee. Now all of a sudden he's eating who knows what. And then he tells me, he says, you know, I know you ate a lot more than you wanted to eat. But even that way, you know, there was only chaplap. We weren't prepared for you. But come back for supper, come back for lunch. My wife will make a roast something that's special that you haven't tasted nor anything. So he goes and he makes a roast. That's one scenario. Okay. A second one is a guy we used to have on the east side. Beth Israel Hospital was the only kosher hospital at that time, so any old baby doctors, obstetricians, the one that delivered babies, which used to have a connection with Beth Israel because the kosher people wanted to go there. So they used to have their thing. A lot of times, a person will come in on Shabbos, and of course he has no food for himself, he has nothing to eat, and needs a place to daven. So he would walk down to MTJ, and he would, we got a place to daven and ask where he can eat a meal. Okay, so they obviously be given to the people that usually would have some, food that had a lot of rafchus in them. So he goes to this house, and he comes in there and he sees there's 3 types of vorspeisen, 5 types of fish. It's not hard to do that. You have gefilte, salmon, carp, whitefish, and maybe some breaded fish. You have 5 types of fish. It's not a big cash. You say like 5 types of fish. Wow, who has that? You have it all the time. You have 3 types of soup. Then you have maybe 5-6 types of meat, tops of bottoms, turkey, a piece of beef, a piece of veal, a piece of lamb, and you have tremendous choice of kugler, shiur, desserts, you can't count them. how many pies they have, and how many, what do you call it, and everything you have there. Both people come home to talk to their wives about how they were treated on this thing there. So the second one says, you know, they eat good in that house. He doesn't say they made food for me, was because they didn't make anything for him. They made it for themselves. They eat good in that house. I happen to partake of it because I shared in their thing, but it wasn't made for me. The first guy says, you know, they didn't know what to do for me. Which one feels better? Obviously the first one felt a lot better, felt welcome and stuff like that. It wasn't just a throne on them as a case. That's what Avram tried to do. I want to give you a meal, but I want you to feel that I bothered for you. That's the point. That makes the person feel like a mensch and stuff there. So what did he give him right away? That was the chalav and the chama. He gave him the milk and the cream. What do you do with cream? I guess it was ice cream or something like that. You know, I don't think they drink cream itself, but you make it with that. So he had something to eat first. Now you had, we'll have the bread is here in 5 minutes. It doesn't take long to make bread. Once it takes about, the matzah is really fast. Even chametz has to rise though, that's the only thing. But I'm saying waiting for that takes a good hour or two. But the actual baking is a very short time. And then they get the meal of the meat and stuff like that, which is lunchtime. When it was supper time, which that extra stuff. So they really didn't eat the malachim, meat and milk together, according to this, what I just said. And probably that's true, they didn't. I would say just like it appears the way the Pasuk puts it, to show them that you see the Torah doesn't count because you don't have an issa, you don't eat, you don't eat, so therefore the Torah can't be for you. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu was telling them. Not that they actually ate meat and meal together. And because they don't eat anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. Okay. Then they say to him, Ayesh Sori Ishtecha. Where's your wife Sarah? You know, shouldn't he have all of a sudden thought something very strange over here? You know, when did the name change? 3 days ago. Right before I did the Milah. Rashi says, when did he do the Milah? He did it immediately after the Rebbeinu Shem told him to go do the Milah. So at that time is when he told him to do the Milah, he also told him your name has changed, Tavron, right? So at that time he did the Milah immediately, so he's pretty sick now, or whatever it is. He got a nice cut, he's busy with the cut, he's busy with the vertical, then he feels weak, and so on. He definitely didn't change the name on the mailbox to say Avraham and Sarah live here. It still says Avram and Sarai live here, right? So when three strangers come, they think there and they say, where's Yisori Ishtecha? They know that they're malachim. They can't be human beings, because human beings wouldn't know the name is Sarah. If it would have been, Sarah should have said, you know, I think you got the wrong address. You're not talking to me. You're not talking about me, because my name is Sarah. It's not Sarah. So therefore, she may not even have known that he changed his name. Okay. So what's pshat in that all together, you know? So they knew that. So it could be that Takeino Chenami. At this point, he realized the malachim. But at this point, it's after the whole feeding already, so that we got there. But then there becomes a question, so why does he take them out? So Rashi says, since they thought they were people, or it seems it doesn't mean Rashi doesn't mean he thought they were people, but since they're appearing as people, so therefore he has to show the world how do you treat people. It's not enough for them to show them how do you treat malachim. They don't know that these are malachim. So therefore they think they're people, like you didn't make Leviah, so therefore they think you don't need it, so therefore he's mechuyev to do it. Okay, so that wouldn't be a kasha for both of them. But the question is, and let's understand, okay, and let's go right into the story, I think. The Shema is Pesach, she hears, And I say she's not surprised that her name is Sarah, and we'll have to figure why. And Vavram is so scared and born by Yom, they're old already. Chodali is the Sarah Kadoshin. She was stop being a nida. So stop being a nida means technically she has no more eggs, and therefore she's not going to have a baby. So what's going to be? So now she got it back. So she knows she can have a child. And my husband is old. Now, normally we've explained this to mean, that he can't have any more children, because he has no more zera, he's an old man, right? It's a very strange thing to say that, because the Avram Avinu, 40 years later, 41 to be probably, no, it's 40, it was the first statement, so it's a year to Yitzchak's birth, and at 140 he first marries Keturah and then has 6 kids after that. So how you can tell me he's an old man? An old man 41 years later doesn't make any sense, right? And a woman would know, I think the woman would know if it's Yerek Kachetz or not, and therefore she knew that he's not an old man. So Adoni Zokin can't possibly mean that he's an old man, he can't have kids. And on that point, we should not have any doubt anyway, since he can have kids all of a sudden. So his father, her husband can also have kids all of a sudden. What's the big deal, right? So that means Adoni Zokin means he's too old to raise a kid. We upped we have to raise Yitzchak in a different way than the Shmuel. I think that, okay. And then the Benishim says, Lo B'tzochak Kesoro, Le Ma'avtama, and Le Chanizah Kanti. She said, Kanti changed the story for Shalom Bayis, whatever the excuses is. But what was the purpose of telling him at all? I don't have to tell you anything. Well, I just have to say, I don't have to tell you what happened, right? All of us, what happened, I think, is, we learn later on, when the Benishim says in the center, in other words, throw out Shmuel from the house, that Shema B'Kayla, because she's a bigger Navi than you are. So Avram's a bigger Navi. Now we know Sorah's a bigger Navi than Avram. We know from the din of Navi, there's certain things that a Navi gets Chayiv Misa for. It says things b'shem acher, or if he was not mitzuvah to say something, and he says it, he's also Chayiv Misa. So how do you know about it? So it says, who gives Masroya? Who knows him anything else there? So it says, Echav HaNaviyim. Because Nevuah is not a thing that's spoken to a specific person. Nevuah is a big curl we call it Sheva Rozim, that curl that we have there. It bang, it's tremendous all over the world. Except not everyone is attuned to be able to hear it. Now there are 10 degrees of Nevi'im. Whatever degree you're on, you will hear. And therefore you'll hear, so you'll hear that the Nevuah was given, and the Nevuah at that time was told, Yomi, about the case of what you call Ben Azur, where you had a Navi Emes that became a Navi Shekel, that the Pshat is he heard that the Nevuah was to Yirmiyah, and yet he still went and said, I heard, and I was told to tell you this, that he made up his own Nevuah, and whatever it is, Chaim Misa. So it says that the Echav HaNavim can give us Soya, so they heard it. That means that Sarah heard everything that God said to Avram. So if she heard that, now we know her name is Sarah. Okay, so now we know why she knows her name is Sarah, because she heard the Rebbeinu telling him. But at the same time, she also heard that maybe she didn't hear Avram. It says she can hear the Rebbeinu voice, and she can hear Avram's voice. But the fact that Avram says, Shmuel Shmaticha, I'm listening to Shmuel, that means that Avram did something that he wanted Shmuel to be, and not Yitzchak, right? If that's the case, hey, you have your son, why don't you want me to have a son? Why do you want this? I mean, that's the biggest anti-shalom bayis you can have. I mean, you don't want me to have a child? What'd you do? Over there. So she's very angry, very upset. You don't see in her complaint about that. She just says that what's her complaint? What she complain? That Avram is old. Because if you can say that Yishmael should be the guy that's going to be Salech Lefonai, I raised Yishmael for 13 years. I'm raising him to be your Yerush. And it's stuff like this. I'm telling you, he isn't that. He can do as Lakim is Halach. That he can do. He can do like Noach. But he can't do his Halach Lefonai. And therefore, if you think he's going to do that, means you lost your ability to shut up or how to raise your kids. Every person, every kid is different, and everything, the time in life that he comes is different. And I'll give you a marshal. It's a strange Gemara. The Gemara says, you're supposed to have children when you're younger, when you're old. And why? Because we don't know which one will be better, and maybe both will be good. What does that mean? You don't know who will be better, and maybe both will be good. You raise them different. When you're 20 years old and you have a child, you're a little bit more active. You take the kid on walks, you take the kid on this, you maybe even play ball with him. Whatever it is, there's a different relationship with the kid, more of a buddy-buddy relationship. When you get to be 40 and you have a kid, all of a sudden you're teaching him, we sit down and learn together. We don't have any other relationship. Now, if I happen to get the ball player when I'm old and the masmid when I'm young, I'll have two rotten kids. If I happen to have the ball player when I'm young and the masmid when I'm old, I'll have two wonderful kids. They say that. So it depends on my physical, on how I'm going to raise my kid. Is a tremendous difference. And she says, and therefore he's missing. If he thinks Yishmael can do the job, it's Adoni Zaki. He can't do it. He's not going to be able to teach it the right way, and he's not going to be able to teach Yitzchak the right way. Okay. So when he came and he said to him, how come she made such a thing? So it doesn't mean the point of physical, because if she saw the physical herself, she saw they can understand the physical, and that for sure she believed. The Rebbeinu Shalom can do anything you want as far as physical. But does the Rebbeinu Shalom change people's minds or abilities to do things? It means that not that Avram is going to be changed. It's Rebbeinu Shalom can give him that keach that he can do it. So this is the first time we have such a thing like this. The next time we have it, which is even a higher madrega, is Moshe Rabbeinu talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom, but when they wanted meat, by the month when they wanted meat, and he said to him, "I'll give you the meat for 30 days," and stuff like that. He says, "How am I going to give meat for 600,000 people?" He says, even in the cold Vigay Hayom, even if I get all the fish in the sea, I won't be able to do it. What are you, crazy? And he doesn't know the fish in the sea are so many that if for 600,000 people it's going to, we have billions of people in the world now, and we eat fish every day. What's the estimate that 600,000 can't have fish? Go down there. He says of course there's enough fish. And that wasn't his doubt. His doubt was they're not looking to eat fish. They're looking for a taina for the arayas. They're looking for trouble. So therefore, how are you going to solve the down? So the Messiah says, is anything that I can't do? What does it mean? That pshat is, I'll make them want fish. I'll make them want meat. And what kind of meat did he make them want? The meat they eat every day anyway. If a guy was eating meat every day, he probably gets tired of eat chicken every day. He probably got tired of chicken, right? They ate the slov every day, right? And then he gives them slov, which they all went out crazy for 30 days of slov to kill him. What are you guys crazy? You're eating it every day anyway. Why are you hungry for it, right? I can do that. I can make their appetite change. I can make them think they can make what he call. That's what the Beisham is telling. So, not that a pshat is that a thing. So I can give him the keach to raise a kid. That's not a problem. Then he's okay. So so he gives Avram this, and he tells Avram. So in order that Avram's now going to go to Sarah and say to him, Sarah, I hear you worried that you're not going to be able to raise the kid because you're a little old, and that you're not as young as you were. I have the same problem. And then he talks Aliba, and all of a sudden we have Shalom Bayis. That's what the Benshon wanted from him. But in other words, to cause him to talk to her, to have to talk to her, so mainly given Shalom Bayis. And that then she didn't have obviously a grudge to get this thing. So he felt bad, so he felt good now. Okay, that's the point. Okay. Then she denies, what did he tell us altogether for? What do we have to notice for? I didn't laugh. But the Benshon tells her back, it goes on the Shiloh who tells her back, no, you did laugh. What's this discussion here? I think the idea is that someone learned, the Medrash learned, that the Benshon wanted to talk to Sarah so badly that even if he had to give her Musa, that was a good to start talk to her. So he said, you laughed. Now in reality, she didn't laugh. She didn't laugh on the ability of Benshon to do this. But she did laugh at the Benshon to change a person's attitude and stuff like that. So therefore, the pshat is you learned a new lesson that I can do that too. Okay, fine. But it's a lesson that she learned. There's no time there. You didn't do anything wrong because of it, because you didn't know that. But now I taught it to you. Now you know it. Okay. And the reason the Torah teaches is because he wanted to tell you how much she was machshav Sarah. So there's some that are, what do you call it? I don't want to say the word bigoted. It's not, they think, they hold that somehow women are less than men. They think, it's not true. The women are like men. The way I say Isha, we say in the morning, that's not because a woman has less kedusha than we have. It's because she has less mitzvahs than me. And the idea is we're going according to the mitzvahs. I'm glad they pitched it. Now, why you ask me a question? Why don't we say she was a Kohen or something? Okay, that's a good question. I'm not going into that. But okay. I think that, but Lamaisa, that's the reason we say that. But as far as the Kedusha of Klal Yisrael, that's the, as we paskin like Tesis, that a woman wants to do a mitzvah, I say, she has man groma, that she's potter from, she has a right to make a bracha, asher kicholim mitzvah, it's in order to do the mitzvah. She doesn't get the same schar because she doesn't have that yitzhahara of not doing it, because it's all voluntary anyway. So if I want to do it, I'll do it. I don't want to do it, I don't do it. So there's no yitzhahara to do it. So that stays the svara. Why Ein Mitzvah gets more mitzvah. Ein Mitzvah gets less mitzvah than Mitzvah. Okay. Yeah, so the Yalkut says a very interesting thing over here. The fact that the Rebbeinu Shalom told this to Sora, and he told him that also to Avram that he's going to have a kid. So why didn't he, since they're Nevi'im, why don't you just tell one? The one will tell the other one. What do you need a double telling? So they said, Mikan, from here we see that a woman is posuladis. Okay. What is posuladis? Again, why is a woman posuladis? She can't say a fact. Why should she not get a fact? For whoever Eid Echad is kosher, a woman is kosher. Now it's for kashrus, and even for the Madeh and Dabba Yisrael, even on the rice, even on the chorus, even on a, what do you call a woman's nema, right? You suffer a latzma. So she's nema. And all of a sudden, to tell you a fact that this guy did this or this guy did that is not nema. Why not? So this I want to time is because of the mile of the woman, not because of the chesaron of the woman. The Gemara says that the woman has a bina yisera. It's a shayla why women understand. Mila the alma, it says listen to your wife. Mila the shmaya, you take care of it. Mila the beisei is a machlekes, or at least it's a division of work. that what the situation is the woman's job. How to deal with the situation is the man's job. But Lamaisa, there's a fact of what we're dealing with. But Mila Alma, you listen to your wife. What is Mila Alma? I decided to go into business with Yankel, and I go and tell my wife that, and she says, don't go into business with Yankel. Yankel is a crook. Tells you, listen to your wife. She knows good. Yankel is a cook. How does she know Yankel is a cook? She looked at him. She has a bina yisera. What does that mean, a bina yisera? I would say, to explain it in Stam and Lashon Hara, it's very negeya. That kol ha-poisel b'mumei poisel. What I mean to say is when a person sees somebody sneaking around, so he touches up what's taking place. It's as if he was doing that. And if he was doing that, this is what he would be doing. So therefore, he's saying that the other guy is doing that. But the truth is, they're two different people. He doesn't do the same thing as the other guy does. So it's two different things altogether. Okay. Sometimes you build on a case. I'm going to give you, this is the classic case of Lashon Hara that they teach all the guys who answer the Lashon Hara hotline. Now it's how to be mafchin between what's a truth, what's a fact, and to what's Lashon Hara. I mean, or even Lashon or Maisa Shemra, about the person to realize what he is, what he has to check into. And this is the Maisa they give you normally. The story. There's a guy out of town. There was one kosher butcher shop out there, and the man is coming home after Slichas night. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. He's coming, he's just walking home, and he passes through the butcher shop, and he sees a treifa truck unloading meat or packages of meat in front of the butcher shop. He goes and he tells the Rav that I saw they were delivering meat to the butcher shop 1 o'clock in the morning there, and they're treifa meat. So the Rav tells him, okay, I'll check into it. I'll go into it. So he goes to the butcher and he says, I heard an accusation against you that you get treifa meat at 1 o'clock in the morning. He says, not true. Okay, so he tells the guy next day that the butcher denied it, and there's no such thing, and therefore, when halacha, you can't say it to anybody, only in Eid Echad, so therefore you're not thing there, but you yourself can't eat from it because you saw what you saw, but you're not allowed to tell anybody else. So it was about Lashon Hara. You tell a guy not to tell Lashon Hara, so that the guy's going to eat about treif, right? I got to tell my best two friends, at least they shouldn't eat treif, right? So he tells his two best friends, and everyone tells their two best friends, and at the end of a week, there's no one buying anymore in the store. So the store closes up, and he moves out of town. Okay. A year later, Slichas night again, he goes by the same butcher shop, which is now closed, and he sees the same truck, and the truck is unloading the meat again. So he goes over to the truck driver and he says to him, you don't have to, the store that you're delivering to is closed. He's out of business. He says, I don't deliver meat to anybody in this area. I don't deliver it. So then what are you unloading for? He says, I got a flat. And I have to get the weight off the truck so I can jack up the truck to change the tire. Did this ever happen to you before? He says, funny thing, about a year ago, right over here, I had the same thing. Okay, he went back and told the Rav, and the Rav told me, you got to go ask the guy Mechila. So he went to the Mechila, the guy was dead already. So that's the story they tell you. Now, how tragic could be your mistake. I blame the Rav. I don't blame the guy. The guy told over, but the point is, he saw a guy unloading a truck in front of a house, in front of a butcher shop. He never saw anything going into the butcher shop. And therefore, but he still made the assumption that that's where it's going. So he saw that they were delivering food to this thing there. That's what happens with a woman. But Habini makes it that she sees the whole picture. She doesn't just see one thing. And if she sees the whole picture, she's in the din of Eidos is, tell me what happened. I'm not asking you what you think happened. I'm asking you, tell me what happened. And a woman can't do that. And since she can't do that, she's supposed to lay this. And therefore they think it. But it has nothing to do because she's second-class citizen or something like that. It happens to be because the Rebbeinu gave her a different teva in order to be able to understand, or because she sees she's in the street all often, she's the one that's the outside member of the house and stuff like that. And because of that, she knows people better, so she understands people better. So therefore, she gives you a picture of what she thinks is taking place instead of what reality is just happening. That's the point. And that's what the thing. That's why I think it's shut in the pasuk. Okay. Anyway, then all of a sudden the malachim are now going to Sodom, and the idea is Sodom. What do you call it? Are bad people, right? And it said we got there in Lech Lecha. I think we spoke a little bit about. I remember last week about the Averas of Sodom. That, in other words, what did they do so bad? And all of a sudden, and that Beniman has to destroy them. It's the only Rosh Ra that the Beniman personally destroys. They're like Hitler, Yerach Shmoi, Hamas out there. They're going to be destroyed. But Lamaise, the Beniman's not sending down Gofus for Melech to kill them. They'll get killed, whatever it is there. The bombs are going to backfire, or whatever it is there. Or Magefa is going to happen in the end. If this is the end, whatever it is, it's not going to be that he's going to get Gofus for Melech. And yet on Sodom, he personally went to destroy Sodom. Why did he do that? What was Sodom so bad? They didn't come to Hamas, they didn't chop off kids' heads and stuff like that. They chopped off kids' guys' feet maybe. That was too tall, so they made them, they shortened them a little. Because they did things that people may think are good. That's the point. I mean, look at the world. It's a crazy world out there. And in this part, one of these things, it's part of liberalism in a way, if you want to call it that, is that you have how many demonstrations in the world, Keneged Yidden, Keneged this, pro-Hamas. Not so much. They get against Jews, okay, you hate Jews. That's a given. But how do you make it pro-Hamas? In other words, you don't see that they were Rotzchim and Rishoyim and this and that. That's the point. You're anti-Israel, but why are you pro-Hamas? Elavos, that my sin is so big, I don't see the avil of Hamas. I don't even see it. In other words, there's nothing wrong if they kill you, they do something. You whatever they think, you occupy their territory, they're allowed to butcher you. It doesn't make a difference. I think they can make up any types of equality that they want to make up. Okay. Sodom had this problem. We don't make chalukim between one person and another person. There are no outstanding people by us. You're a 6-footer, knock off 3 inches. You're a 5'4", we stretch you 3 inches. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. In other words, there are no people that stand out by us. Everybody has to be the same by us. We're all 80s. We're no 100s and no 50s. We're all 80s. That's the way we are. And if you can't make it that way, then we make the 100 into an 80. Or we make the 50 into an 80. However we'll do it to make us that we're all equal. Right? So how does that happen? That means we got doctors that don't know how to doctor. We have mechanics that don't know how to fix cars. We have all these kind of crazy things. Why? Because we don't have enough of a certain person in that field. We're going to lower the level, and because we're lowering the level, we make it. That is Ra. But people think, oh, but we're living equal. It's fair. It's what do you call it? So the thing is, that's what he said. I made people different. I made people rich and poor. I made people strong and weak. I made people smart and dumb. I made people different for a reason. to make them that there's a specialist chayvus, each person for himself and what he has. It has nothing to do with the other guy. And therefore, there's a reason I do it, but you're making it, you're taking away, what are you taking them and saying, you know, you got a good head, you can sleep. While the young kid who doesn't have a good head, he has to work very hard. Is that more fair than the one we spoke about? Of course not. That's unfair. Why can I sleep and you can go and you have to work hard? That's unfair. So I'm saying, so they don't understand what the Rebbeinu wants. They don't want to learn what the Rebbeinu wants, and they think it's good. That's where the Rebbeinu has to stop it and destroy it. People shouldn't make such a mistake. That's the point. So anyway, so these are the Ra of Sodom. And therefore the same thing works out with Stokke, when they were pro-Stokke, when they're anti-Stokke, it doesn't make a difference. Same thing is, in other words, you're a parasite, you're taking away from my children when I asking me for Stokke, and therefore you're a terrible person. On the other hand, he goes the other way, we make laws that are more acceptable to people. You make too much of a demand on people, they won't want to do anything. So for instance, in Stokke one time, what was the one of the Stokke they had, they used to give a gold coin to an oni that would come. And they had their name on it because then they wouldn't sell them any food, and they would all die and they take the coins back. Okay, I don't even think Kipshute, if I was a guy like a Sodom guy, that I'm anti-Stokke, I would want that guy to ask me for Stokke, and now I can give him a droshe, boy, that's going to put him in his place. Like you parasite, you no goodnik, you're trying to steal things, and why don't you go out and get a job, and when you get the thing, I can have a lot of fun. Why would I give him a coin for? I'm willing to give him Stokke. I'll even give him a Stokke, a gold coin Stokke, which is a big Stokke. What does he do? On the other hand, but I don't change my lifestyle. The chiv of a yid is demach soirei. You're mechuyev to give Stokke to whatever the guy is missing. So even if he's an oshir and he became poor and he needed a hype man that runs in front of him, to tell him that Yankel is coming to town and stuff like that, like Hillel had to run for the street, so the idea is that he's missing that. If he wouldn't have that, he'd be tzabachah. I don't have anyone announcing that I'm coming. Well, you think that what's going to be? I'm going to be like a nobody. Nobody's going to know who I am, and no one cares about me. And he's going to be tzabachah the guy, so we have to do it for him. It's stupid. I don't need it. Nothing. You don't need it, but he needs it. And the chiyuv is to give it to the one what he needs. That's the guy comes 12 o'clock at night to my house and he says, I'm hungry. I got to make him supper. I have no choice. The guy's hungry. I have to give him food. And stuff like that. But it's not very good. Sodom said, it's a lot to demand of a person. The thing there, the best thing is give a check. I think that now, when I give a check, I have to be able to cash the check. If I can't cash the check, it ain't worth anything. It's July 4th weekend, right? The weekend is on a Tuesday. So therefore it's July 4th week. The whole town closes up for a whole week because open for Monday doesn't pay. Open for Wednesday and Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the end of the week already. Who needs it for? But I'm drunk anyway from Monday. I'll take the week off. Everybody takes the week off. There's no food. There's no store, no restaurant. The guy's going to starve of hunger. Okay. So Pshat is, you're making a rule. It's very nice. It's very good. It's easier to give a check than it is to do they machzorah. Right? But it's a problem that sometimes people are going to die. And therefore it's not the right thing to do. The machzorah is right, and the people will die is not right. That's what the Beniman is telling us. And that's why Sodom is bad. And the same thing, you check with all the things that go on, and you'll see that that's pretty much what's happening in the world. Anyway, you have Avram Avinu is starting to talk to the Ben Shalom about saving his life. The way he talks, seeming chutzpahdik, not only chutzpahdik, but he didn't even give the Ben Shalom a chance to answer. He says, "Chalil l'cha ma'asis kedov hazeh l'harik tzadikim roshe v'etagoshe chalil lo chashevi kol oretz lo-yaseh mishpat." Why don't you ask me first the question, I'm doing mishpat or not? Don't accuse me of anything. So I think what it means is that the world will say it. Not that I will say it. I know you have an answer. But the world will say such a thing, so that how can you do such a thing, that the world should have a taina? You want them to learn emes. So if they want to learn emes, you can't do it, that's not good. And then he seems to have like bargaining by guy, I forgot what, who do you bargain with? Not a regular store, it's where the guy goes around with a peddler. Like it seems like thing. First I asked 50 people, 50, 45 tzaddikim, 40, 30, 20, 10. What's the start cup? What do you mean? It's a bargaining game over here. It's not anything there. No, it's a new tefillah each time. The first one is pshute, 10 per city. Okay. Then he asked 45 was, okay, Rabbeinu, maybe you'll be mitzdaref with them. So it's 9 per city. Okay, so we got that request. Now 40 goes one, we can't get 50. So let's say 4 cities, 10 each, and one will die. So once one will die, that means an einish is coming into the world. And once it's coming into the world, now you want me to differentiate between this place and this place, now maybe I need 10 again. Real 10. So I asked for 40. Okay, there. Then I asked for 30. I asked already. They said I want 9, I mean 27 now. I don't want 30, I mean 27. I'm asking for 30, meaning 3 cities, and 27. Why am I asking for 20? The Reuv is already destroyed. Out of 5, you already destroyed 3. So you want to knock them all off together. Maybe you'll save him a miyut. And the second, then the 10 is meaning 9. And what do you think, though? 8, he says he doesn't ask in that, whatever pshat is in that. Okay. Okay. Anyway, they come to Sdoim and want to see what happened to Lot at this point. Because I think we're going to have a kasha. Avram is asking 10 to save Tzvia. And the Beis said no. And yet in the end, Lot himself saves Tzvia. How all of a sudden, from 10 to go to 1, why is he different? So I think Lot changed right here. The Malachim came to town. Now, let's say Lot was still about chesed, right? He's definitely drummed out of Klal Yisrael. He doesn't have a place anymore in Klal Yisrael because he was willing to become the best guy he could become by living in Zedom. In other words, when the Ben Shem is going to measure him against the people in his neighborhood, he's going to be pretty good. So therefore, that's not what the Ben Shem wants from us. The Ben Shem wants the best you could become, not the best that you are against your neighbors. So therefore, that's not great. So therefore, he can't be in Klal Yisrael anymore. But that's the way he did it. And all of a sudden, with these 2 malachim come, and he sees them, and he says to them, come, I'll explain the thing about what washing first, not. He come to my house. And he says, no, we'll sleep in the street. So l'chayre, if Lot was only doing it for show, meaning I had guilty, I'm not b'il bal chesed, so I went in, I offered to do chesed, you turned me down. So I'm happy and goodbye. VaYiftzah bo me'od, he begged them, please, 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 why are you begging them? You know you're in trouble if you're in the town. You know the town is done. What are you looking for trouble for? So that's why I say he changed over here. All of a sudden, I'm going to be different. When I became a guy like Afram, I'm going to preach. I'm going to do different, and all of a sudden I do different than I did. Now you yourself can save time. Okay, now the idea is, he says, you'll sleep, and you'll wash your feet. So Rashi makes an issue over here that says, by Avram told them, you wash your feet before you come into my house. So you see that Lot didn't care if Avodah came in his house. Then he comes later on, and he says, and really it's two barises in I think in the Acheret or in Kala, I don't remember, one of the two. That it says there, why did Lot do this? Say that because he figured maybe the Steinmites will find him, and they'll come and they'll see they still have dirt on their feet, so they'll think they just came, so therefore they wouldn't make a big issue of it. That's what it is. So the Gemara already answers it. I mean, so why are you bringing it down as a point that he wouldn't think? And Rashi himself says something like that later on. So I said, Pshat and Rashi is like this. You know, what he called necessity is the mother of invention. Right? If you need something, then you'll figure out a way. You don't need it, you won't figure out a way. Okay. So he's telling you, Avraham Avinu was so needed it so badly that you don't come into my house with a Veda, that he would have figured out a way already. How come I can't figure out a way? Because I don't need it. No one's coming into my house with a Veda, so I don't need the problem. But if it was actually coming within, Lot, who didn't care that much, now of course he cared, but not that much, so therefore the Pekuach Nefesh became more important. In other words, what would the Eitzah? I don't have what the Eitzah would have been. That I say that I don't have the Eitzah what it would have been about the things. But that's what I think Rashi is trying to teach us. Okay. Okay. We have about leaving town. That the Beisham lets you save even the Rishoyim. If there's the thing, there's by here we have it by Rochav. By Rochav, we don't know if they were Rishoyim or not, but I assume that not everybody's a madrig of Rochav, a family or whatever it is, but Afal became the schar of doing what she did, entitled her to save her family. And the same thing here with late. Yeah. Okay, they'll end up in a mountain. If you don't know the story with the Rashiva and the Bnei Slate, I'll just tell it to you, we'll end with that. When he was in Luban, he's a Rav, so the communists just took over then, probably 1920. So he got news that one of his balabatim was sick. And so one of the jobs of the Rav is to be Mvakechela. He went to Mvakechela, and he comes in, and he sees the man's mouth, his tongue is so swollen, his whole mouth is full of tongue. And he asks him, like, what's happened? And obviously he was able to talk. So, what happened? He said he was being Mavasetra, and he got to the Parsha of VaYeirah, and this part, and he said he started to think, why does Mashiach belong to the Bnei Slot, such tramps that lived with their own father and the thing that he said he got it. All of a sudden he felt very sleepy, and he went to, and he had to lie down. So he lie down, and he falls asleep, and two women come to him in a dream. And they said, we hear you have a tainet HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the Mashiach comes from us. So we'll tell you why. Now, we didn't have to embarrass ourselves telling this mice, and nobody would have known who the father of the kids are, especially if there's no world after this. Doesn't make a difference. They thought it was the end of the world. There was no world. What whom I have to call my name Moyav Namaim for? Call him Yankel and Pinchas. Who cares? Right? No, I couldn't call him any name I wanted to. But I didn't. Why? Because we wanted the world to know there's no such thing as the immaculate conception. There's only, even there can be a tzaddik like Lot, and daughters like us who are tzidkoniuses. You want to know why we were tzidkonius? What did Lot say about us? We live in Sodom, and no, we never lived with a man, and stuff like that. So we're pretty big tzidkoniuses. We're the only people in a mountain. And we come down pregnant, then you have to know it was from a man, and that the only man there was my father, and it's even though he's a tzaddik. Why? Because it doesn't come from anywhere else. If anyone wanted to claim Immaculate Conception, we could have claimed it. And we were so tzaddik, and the bench wanted to continue the world, so he gave us Zara. We could have, we didn't do it, to pick a lie to that. So this is why Mashiach belongs to us. It's an interesting concept, whatever it is. Okay. I asked him what happened to the guy. He said 4 days later he died. And I said, oh, like, you know, so the Gemara says, you know, the Ben Shem, when the guy says klap ishmaya, if a guy says things against God, the Ben Shem hits him, but only hits big guys like Levi and these guys. So who was this guy? Now, is that the Ben Shem listened to his complaint and sent him an answer and still killed him for it. You have no right for the complaint. So the thing doesn't, he says, that was the lotion that the Rashiv used. We have anyway, have good Shabbos, everybody. I'm off you have the Seforim conventions, that's why we had this early thing. Have good Shabbos, everyone.